You're listening to the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. Whether you're a dad who wants to add more tools to your fathering toolbox, or a daughter who wants to connect with her dad, or even a mom who wants to support your daughter's relationship with her father, you're invited to join the conversation today. Here now is your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dad Whisperer podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. And if you're a dad who wants to not only add more tools to your fathering tool belt, but you also want to be a dad who's ready to kick it up a notch as a father of a daughter, then this is the place you want to be, because we are all about equipping you as dads to be the dad you want to be, the hero that you want to be, and the dad and the hero that your daughter desperately needs you to be. And I think we live in a culture where you as fathers aren't always affirmed enough. And I'm telling you, here at the Dad Whisperer podcast, we are all about affirming fathers, championing fathers, and equipping fathers so that you can be a difference maker and you can raise a world-changing daughter. So if that lines up with your intended goal, Dad, then this is the place you want to be. Well, you know that I use the same grid every week to guide our conversation, which is simply on your mark, get set, go. So Dad, picture yourself standing side by side each other as dads who are running your fathering race this week. I'm on the sidelines as your coach, cheering you on and saying, on your mark, get set, go. On your mark is the topic or the theme. Get set, fill that in with stories and stats. Go is always your practical action steps so that you can put your love for your daughters and even your sons into action this week. Well, today is part 2 of a 2-part series with none other than my husband, Dr. Ken Canfield, who founded the National Center for Fathering over 30 years ago. You can go to fathers.com to read more about that, gain resources, and really connect with other dads at amazing site, fathers.com. He also founded the National Association for Grandparenting, and you can learn more about what that's all about at grandkidsmatter.org. He's written 12, 13, 14 books. I forget how many it is, many of them translated into other languages. He's been a national and an international leader, really in the fathering movement for decades now. But really at a heart level, I know that Ken is a father who walks his talk. He's a grandfather who loves intentionally. And I've invited him here today to talk more about something that he has developed called the Personal Fathering Profile. So welcome, Dr. Ken Canfield.
Hey, good to be with you. It's a delight as always. So we get to work together today, this hour. This is awesome.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So last time you were here, we talked about your book, The 7 Secrets of Effective Fathers. And you mentioned a couple times the Personal Fathering Profile. So today we're going to talk about how dads can have basically a mirror for self-assessment to gauge where they're at as a dad, because sometimes it feels like a job with no job description.
Yes.
And if you don't know really what you're shooting for, you might feel a little bit lost out there.
A little?
Okay, a lot.
Yeah.
And you are going to help dads break down some of what it really looks like to be a great dad by really explaining what this personal fathering profile is. So there's on your mark, the Personal Fathering Profile.
Yeah, so let me give some background. Dads, many of you grew up without a father. In fact, I did a national random study that showed this, and this was to all adults over 18. They said most people, 60% of people today, have unresolved issues with their father. Many of you grew up with no dad present. Some of you, sadly to say, don't even know where he is.
That's my dad.
Yeah, so the need right now is great. So what the PFP, Personal Fathering Profile, does is give you a mirror to look at. There are standardized measures that have been collected from men across North America that give you a look at what are those traits that define a healthy, good father. And what we do is give you those statements, and you can get feedback and see where you are. It gives you baseline, but more importantly, it informs you of who you are. So you look in a mirror, and nobody is perfect. You're always looking at, I need to do this, do that, especially your daughter.
Exactly.
I mean, that can be her greatest enemy.
You're right. I've talked lots about messages on mirrors,
know
so that's
you
a good
have.
metaphor.
Yeah, so here is an opportunity for you to look in the mirror. And we've arranged this, so guess what? You could take this personal fathering profile and have your wife or your oldest child, your daughter, if they're over 15, 16 years old, give you feedback on how you're doing as a dad.
And
now
take the personal fathering profile on the dad.
Exactly.
Yeah, or the husband or
so think of a
friend.
three-way mirror there where you go in and you see different
good point.
perspectives. So I really believe this is a tool to help you. And this has been the basis for getting together with another guy or a small group. Who's your battle buddy? I mean, life is full of treacherous, difficult things. And if you don't have a battle buddy, another guy that you can share your fathering with, I mean, women understand this.
You're right.
They will talk till, you'll are blue in the face. But to get another guy who's got your backside covered, no matter what you have done, no matter what crazy thing he has done, or a small group, this is designed to drive that.
Okay, so really, Ken, you're giving the go step here.
Yes.
So, Dad, listen now with the end in mind.
Yes.
Is that your go step is be thinking, as Ken explains what this profile is about.
Yes.
Be thinking, who could I take this test with, this profile with?
Yeah.
This assessment, really,
Yes.
not really a test.
Yeah.
But who could I be taking it with? Who could I invite to take it with me? You
Yes.
can get it at fathers.com. It's also detailed more in your book, The Heart of a Father.
Yes, it is.
So you can go to Amazon, get that book if you want
Yes.
more explanation. But
Yes.
again, go to fathers.com. And I've got a couple questions here on the front end then, Ken. How long does it take-ish to take the personal fathering profile? We'll keep calling it the PFP. That'd be
Right.
easier. And how many questions are in it?
Yeah, 128 questions. It'll take you about 30 minutes, 28 to 30 minutes.
Okay, so really we're saying, is your fathering worth that kind of
Hello.
investment?
Now
Hello.
that gets
Does it cost
Now let's go.
to take it?
Yes, there's a small fee. I don't even know. Go on the website what that is.
You got a team that handles all
Yes,
that. You do
yes.
the research and
Right.
write the questions.
And get
so.
this stuff out there.
But it's really not astronomical. You guys are
no.
all about making this practical.
Yes.
And you guys are developing an app
Yes.
to really bring this into the hands, literally.
We have to.
Onto phones. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. To
Because
be able to take this.
Increasingly, North America is fatherless. I mean, it may not be your dad was absent. He may have been there. He may have been a protector and provider. He may have been absent psychologically. He may have been absent morally.
Emotionally.
He may have been absent. Yeah, that is where I know there are some deficits. So this is something that'll help you get some benchmark and baseline to equip you for excellence in your fathering.
Okay, so you've explained a little bit about where it's come from.
Yes.
Now, take us on a journey then of what a dad is going to experience, what he's going to find out about himself by taking the PFP.
Okay. If it starts with this, you have certain things you bring to the table. It starts with the fathering satisfactions and resources is where I want to begin.
Okay.
Because as I've said many times, you can't be the dad that you want and desire your daughter to have until you first process the issues of your childhood, being a son. I mean, no wonder you feel at a deficit time. What does the dad do? It's not intuitive 100%. Now, there are a certain amount is intuitive, but I'm telling you, if your dad is some other place and you didn't know him as you matured through the life course, let's say the teenage years and so forth, you are going to be in a frontier mentality. So the first step is this: looking and recognizing where your childhood satisfaction is
You mean
related to
how happy you were with your dad, how satisfied
your relationship.
Okay,
exactly.
you were
Spot
with
on.
your
You got
relationship
it.
with your
That's
dad.
exactly. And when you start to look at that, there are just 3 items that give a measure. It puts you in a category. Some of you are overcomer dads. For instance, if you had no father figure, somewhat like Michelle, your dad, and then all of a
my
sudden,
dad, you mean my dad didn't have a dad?
Yes.
Not that my dad was that
No,
way, but
no,
yes, my dad
your
grew up in
dad.
Chicago.
Exactly.
You've heard me talk.
Right.
His dad,
Yeah.
died of
He-
gangrene, homeless,
Yes.
was not involved.
Can you imagine that, guys? And here he is. He has siblings that are from several different
Yes. fathers. It was south
messy.
side of Chicago.
Okay.
Was, pretty messy.
So Jim, your dad, Michelle, is an overcomer father because the childhood satisfaction, I never heard my dad, say he loved me. I never saw him at my ball games or my rodeos where he rode,
It's true.
And then all of a sudden he's thrust with 4 daughters. Yes. Oh my goodness. No wonder, he's looking for what he needs to do. So then once you look at your childhood, you begin to look at the support around you.
And that's the second part of it, satisfaction.
Yes, the support that you get from others. Guys, I'm telling you, the most important human asset to your fathering is your child's mother and hopefully your wife. She will see things and give you insight. So having support there is important. Secondarily, it may be an older mentor. It may be an uncle, a brother. It may be somebody in your faith community.
Or a sister.
Yeah.
If you're raising a daughter, if you're divorced, where do you get female input about how to dial into a daughter?
Yeah.
Well, find some woman. You can work with her. She could be a sister, an aunt,
yes,
your mom.
Yes. And above all, it's the battle buddy. It's that small group where you can disclose your strengths, your work areas, and have some guys hold you in a healthy way accountable. You said you were going to do this with your daughter, did you follow through with that, Ken?
And you said your work areas. Did
Yes.
you mean your weak areas that you have to work on?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are work areas.
But those are work areas.
I know.
Yeah, I love that. I thought I was picking up what you were laying down.
Yes. So we don't want to look at, there are no perfect fathers,
right,
except one. And to the closest we can get with other dads and guidance from that father, that is going to propel us to move forward.
And you know what I've loved seeing in the ABBA project is dads sit alongside other dads they don't know, but they all say, we're here because we love our daughters.
Yes.
And then they end up becoming a band of brothers and cheer each other on. And I have loved watching what happens when you set a battle buddy. These guys champion each other.
Yes.
And it's not about perfection. Like I had one guy that in the whole 9 months, his daughter never, ever responded to anything. But he's like, hey, I wrote a message on her car mirror and I went back and I knew she'd read it because she erased it. And the guys cheered him on.
That he did it.
Now, I would have thought he wouldn't have even wanted to come to have that story of, I would say, a lack of success. But the other dads in the trenches with him being vulnerable and less than perfect, it seems like really men know how to champion other guys to keep going.
And here they were inspired by his failure.
You're absolutely
his challenge.
right.
Okay, so that is where the support is so key. The third thing right here, as you get to your overall global fathering satisfaction, is your leadership. Guys, this is so important. Your leadership about you understanding your role, servant leader, in a healthy way, will determine the amount of commitment and energy you're going to put in the fathering space. And again, like your Michelle, your dad, Jim, his leadership, even though it wasn't perfect and even though there were flaws, he took that as a responsibility, something that he had to fulfill, and he's done the best in the process. Dad, that is so important to have others and you assess that leadership. Now, the fourth thing, now we're coming home.
Okay.
It's your communication with your daughter or your son. It's your children. Verbal interaction is one of the biggest predictors of overall global fathering satisfaction. If you can't talk and you can't listen to her, it's not going to be all cozy, particularly during those turbulent years where there's lots of opinions and emotions flying here, there, and everywhere. So that commitment to communicate. One of the defining things that you have written about is those conversation starters. So here you want to help dads because you don't want to see them fail.
That's
so
true.
60 conversations. And by the way, I had the privilege of editing or looking through really
you
her
did
references.
help me edit. Yes.
Yeah, I looked through your references and make sure they were great, they were awesome. But those 60 conversation starters, let's talk, conversations that you dads need to have with your daughter as she matures. will put you in a strong place with verbal satisfaction. You will be happy and sleep well because you've taken initiative and pursuit there.
And you're saying, Ken, that these 4 areas of satisfaction, fathering satisfaction, have come and risen out of what other dads have said.
Yeah, well, it's more sophisticated than that. It's cluster analysis to see what predicts the highest level
down here
of fathering
okay.
satisfaction. If you dealt with your childhood, if you have support, if you've exercised leadership, if you've taken the initiative to have that verbal communication, and it's not just verbal, it's nonverbal, it's attentiveness and attunement to your daughter, then you'll have the highest global fathering satisfaction
And men
scale.
are saying this. So, Dad, if you don't have other men speaking into your life, I'm giving Ken a hard time about, I love his research mind because I so don't have that. So when I kind of was razzing you going, talk to all of us down here, I love the fact that you're saying this is bathed in really valid data.
Right.
And so if you ever feel lost as a dad and go, I don't really know which way to go and I don't even know who to ask about how to be a better dad, a more dialed in dad, Ken is bringing to you in this personal profile, fathering profile, data that is solid, it's tested, it's tried, it's reliable, it's valid data to say, if you dial in this way, Dad, to your daughter, to your son, even, that you will be a stronger dad.
Oh, yeah,
and
more satisfied.
A more satisfied dad.
You'll be a happy
what
pappy.
What dad doesn't want that?
Yes,
a happy
I
pappy.
don't know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm asking my husband, Dr. Ken Canfield, to give us more input and insight in the personal fathering profile so that you, Dad, can have a mirror as to how you're doing as a dad. We'll be right back.
Are you a dad who has ever desired a deeper connection with your daughter, but haven't known how to go about it? Let's Talk Conversation Starters for Dads and Daughters is the very resource you need. Dr. Michelle wrote it with you dads in mind. This book will support you with scripted questions, equip you to decode your daughter, and inspire you with stories of other dads and daughters. Don't wait any longer to be the hero you want to be and that your daughter needs you to be. So, to let the talking begin, head on over to drmichellewatson.com/books and order your copy today. This book will become a favorite in your fathering toolbox and will give you the answers you've been looking for. That's drmichellewatson.com/books. Now, back to the Dad Whisperer podcast.
Welcome back to the Dad Whisperer podcast. I'm Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield here today with my husband for part 2 of a 2-part series where we're talking today about the personal fathering profile. So this, Dad, is a way that you can assess yourself as a dad. Ken has said you can even give this profile to your wife, to your ex-wife, to a coworker, to your brother, your
maybe
sister.
not your ex-wife. But
Okay, maybe not your ex-wife. Good point.
Right.
Or your daughter, your son.
Sure.
Just to give feedback to
Yes.
you as a dad. You can have other dads that you know also do the assessment. So what else do dads need to know? Where do they find it? And tell us more about what they will come to find out if they take this.
Okay, if you go to fathers.com and click on Personal Fathering Profile, you will have an opportunity to take this 128-item assessment to give you the mirror-like feedback of where you are on a variety of satisfactions, dimensions, and factors related to your father.
Okay, so you've talked about the satisfaction piece. Now we're going to talk about the others.
Yes.
The factors.
And the dimensions.
And the dimensions.
Okay.
And you have an app.
Yes.
That's going to be coming out, Dad. So this
Yes.
is super cool. The timing of our conversation.
Oh, we got to get down and get going.
Yeah,
I mean, we've been, walking around this place, this planet, this country too long, and we haven't attended to the fatherlessness that is ravaging the country. I just, I go into the inner city. I lived in L.A. downtown, and it's just... you
call it a
so
gated
evident.
community.
Yeah.
Big bars.
On the
Yes.
doors and windows.
Yeah.
And you look at this and say, what is characteristic of this area? It's the highest level of fatherlessness in the city. Now, that's not to say the suburbs are safe, because you have a different fatherless there, an abdication of, your role in being a guide related to media and, things that you empower kids to do by resources you have. And so dads dial out at that time and just let the kids go.
Or it could be even just overworked.
Exactly.
Like, so that you're
to live out there.
Yeah, to live out there.
Yeah.
But you have to work really hard to afford that. And so you kind of turn fathering over to the coaches, the youth pastors, the nannies, the counselors, the mentors.
Yeah.
But dads, we want to equip you.
Yeah, you're the main man.
To engage
you
your kids
are the
at a
difference
heart level.
maker.
And so tell us more then about the PFP.
Okay. So what this does is it gives you some summarized scale scores that relate to unique dimensions of fathering, like your involvement, consistency, awareness, and nurturance. That spells I can. You can father.
I can do this, which is actually what Ken and I say as Canfields.
Yes,
we can.
Yes,
so,
very
so
good.
we're joining you in this.
Yeah.
I can.
Yes. And so...
Say again, what does I can stand for?
Yes. It is a summary of the dimensions of fathering. Think of this as the four walls of a house. Okay, the front wall is where the front door is. It's your involvement. The amount of time and dedication and commitment you have, that's how you get through the front door of your child's heart.
Okay.
It's so important.
Involvement.
Okay, the next wall, a side wall, is consistency. Are you predictable? Are you able to follow through on your promises? Can they count on you? So that gives a side wall. The back wall is so important.
Now this is the A.
Okay.
I can.
This is awareness. Now, thieves typically go to the back door and they break in. Your awareness of what your child's doing, the things that she is facing, the issues, the broken relationships, the opportunities and her potential. Your awareness brings about that safety. And then the last wall that gives you the four walls is nurturance. Guys, showing effusively the affection, both verbally and written ways, and the tousle of the hair and the pat on the back and the high five, that nurturance endows them with emotional strength. Yes.
I love that.
Those are the dimensions. I can, you can, and we are.
I love that. So we've talked now as part of the PFP, fathering satisfaction. As you answer these questions, men, you will then get a score at the end that will help you know where you're at with your fathering satisfaction.
Correct.
Then there are these fathering dimensions,
Yes.
which Ken just went through, the I cans,
Yes.
involvement, consistency, awareness, nurturance.
Yes.
And then there's also another section called fathering factors.
Okay, this
Explain
is
that.
Yeah, this is kind of your go stuff. Okay, what do we need to be doing? How do we go? Now we've got everything mapped out. We've got the structure. Let's put fuel in this thing because it's ready to go. There are four factors. It's your leadership in leading your child. It's your equipping them for life's challenges, and that includes setting guidance and boundaries. Nobody likes to talk about that, but you fail. In fact, I just have to say this. My oldest daughter is a social worker. She is working on staff at a local church in Middle America. And she said, Dad, it's real interesting. Now, she's in her 40s, and she's listening to other dads because she's concerned. She guides the foster and the respite care of this great church that's doing awesome stuff. She said, Dad, people and dads and moms come to her and say, hey, how do you say no to your children? And she's just thinking, it's no.
And
yeah,
not that hard.
Okay, we live in North America in an entitled culture. Yeah. Oh my gosh. We have so much going on, and kids just want more and more. But if you don't have guidance and boundaries, so in equipping your child, how you discipline them, how you guide them, what boundaries you are mutually setting is so important. And Dad, you uniquely have a role here. It's not just the mother's role. It's you. walking through, and this is why we live this way. This is why we keep these commandments. This is why we follow through. This is so important throughout the life course.
Okay, but Ken, let me ask you this. Is that sometimes, we maybe see parodies of this where it's wait till your father gets home.
Yes.
Like he's going to be the heavy, he's going to be the boundary setter or the discipliner. And I got some of that growing up, to be honest with you. I was raised in the era in the 60s and the early 70s. Yep, I got spanked. It would be wait till your dad comes home. So how does a dad balance boundary setting with not maybe being so heavy that his kids don't want to get close to him because they fear him, or he maybe mixes that with anger and it's not maybe as much of nurturance and more this heavy kind of disciplinarian? Can you speak to that at all?
Sure. Okay, gets into the fathering satisfaction, the verbal interaction. Dad, this is a responsibility. Wait till your father gets home, because everybody intuitively knows you carry big weight. Now, I'm not thinking physical, but your leadership, your persona, all of those things. And that's why a mom is just, I'm exhausted. I've taken care of the kids. I don't know what to do. Well, you need to fill in and fulfill whatever the mother, your wife, has said. Hey, this is very important. You get all the facts. You pursue like an advocate of what has been violated. Now, then there's this time where you're going to have to determine, if you haven't in advance, look, we have talked about this, Michelle, and you stepped over the line, and these are the consequences. And verbal interaction will strengthen the bond with nurturance in whatever discipline you have chosen to employ. And it has to be carried through and sustained.
With kindness.
Of course.
Speak the truth in love,
oh,
right?
Very good.
The Bible talks about.
Yes.
So, Dad, I think really what Ken and I are both saying is, yes, your boundary setting is so vital to your daughters and your sons' health, wellness. They're going to internalize a lot of that boundary setting where they can say, as Ken said, yes and no. But remember that your tone of voice matters.
Yes.
How you say what you say has everything to do with how she receives it.
Yes, and we had a perfect example. Michelle and I just viewed the movie Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters. Oh, my goodness.
Based on our friend Dr. Meg Meeker's book by the same title.
They knocked it out,
they knocked it out.
filmmakers. So here's this story.
Movie.
A dad of 3 daughters, okay? And they have a middle teenage daughter.
Oh,
I mean,
she gave them a run for their money.
run for their money. And here is the dad, as he realizes it's his responsibility, he has to show up and pull her out of this party, wild party. And she was just getting ready to go upstairs with
Into
obviously
a bedroom with
a high hormoned boy a few years older, and the dad shows up. And then what happens? The dad says, hey, you're coming home with me. Who's in charge of this party? He goes and says, shut this party down.
To the dad
of the house, who was what I call a laissez-faire dad. Just let it happen, and it was happening, and it was not good. And then guess what? It was so good. You guys got to watch this movie. Cell phones
with your daughter
everywhere come out, and they're taking pictures of this dad taking his daughter out to the car.
As the boy she was with, by the way, says, well, I don't care. I can get someone else.
Yes.
I mean, she's like a throwaway.
Yeah.
One minute she felt really valued.
Exactly.
Because he wanted her.
Yeah.
But the minute Dad showed up, he threw her away.
Yeah.
And Dad knew that she wasn't safe. She wasn't able to set that boundary herself.
Yes. And so.
Didn't go so well, though,
no.
did it?
And then the friends that were there posted this video all over, social media, TikTok. And she was full of shame. She was so mad at her dad. Why'd you do this? You embarrassed me. I'll never have a life. And then, fortunately, this middle daughter had an older sister. And what did the older sister say to her when she came to her senses?
She said, she sat on the bed as the daughter's just like so mad at Dad. And she's like, I know you're mad at Dad now, but you're going to thank him later.
Yeah.
You're going to thank him later. And so,
Yeah.
Dad, you may be in a really hard season, right?
Yes.
With your daughter, where she pushes back against every boundary. And what I often say to you, and I'm going to say it again, is if you want your daughter to use her voice out in the world, you have to let her practice using it at home. And sometimes she's going to be screaming at you saying no. But if you could maybe dig deep and say, well, at least she knows how to say those 2 words and she's going to need that out in the world. And yes, the more you course correct by building a stronger relationship with her outside of conflict,
Yes.
it's going to carry you through those harder times because she'll know that you've got her back, that you care, that you listen.
And there are 4 components in equipping your child. The first, as we said, it was the involvement in setting guidance. The second was knowing them, involvement in their education, and their moral and spiritual development.
Okay,
Those
repeat
4
those
items.
one more time. That's
Okay.
a lot for dads to take in.
Setting guidelines and giving guidance.
Okay.
Then involvement in her education. You have to be involved
Yeah.
and helping her in whatever she is pursuing.
Doing homework,
Exactly.
deciding where to go to
Supporting
college.
her and making. Then
Helping her study.
Exactly.
Could be any of that.
And then knowing her, because she has unique gifts and talents, much different than you, and helping shore those up and empower her and bless her.
And I love that we talked more about that knowing part last
Yeah.
time. So if you missed part 1 of this 2-part conversation with my husband, Dr. Ken Canfield, you can go back and listen to that one that is titled The 7 Secrets of Effective Fathers.
And then the moral and spiritual development. Now, there are a couple other things we need to just get to.
Yeah,
And-
we're almost ready to land the
Okay,
plane, Dad.
all right,
Hang in
here
there.
we go. The second is this, relating to your spouse. That parental discussion and the marital interaction sets the course for future generations. Never undercut the marital bond. Even if it's your second or third marriage, just make it the very best. And attune to the woman in that house if you're living with her in such a way that others take note and see how women should be treated.
That's
Both
good.
sons and daughters will have that. The other, I would say, is the relating to your child through affection and giving them freedom of expression. This is where Michelle is great. Let's Talk is getting the essence so they can talk and get out related to the issues of their time. And there are mega issues, just identity formation issues, stuff that you can allow your daughter to share her heart.
And I think really why in Let's Talk I gave questions to dads is that sometimes what I've heard is that dads are the heavy and they're quick to discipline, or they're quick to back up mom without hearing the whole story, or back up the other, maybe the youngest sibling who yelled louder and misses the heart of the oldest. So dad, the more that you can just wait and ask questions, because if you're going to discipline in the end anyway, okay, you carry the weight, as Ken said, but take the time to listen first. Take the time to slow down yourself and get your anger under control before jumping in so that you can be the dad you want to be.
Yes.
Which really, again, just to underscore what the personal profile, fathering profile is about, is you to have a mirror
Yes.
to really look at the breadth and
Yes.
the depth
Yes.
of how your fathering is impacting your kids. You can take it with another battle buddy, as Ken called it. You can have someone in your life, as I said, ex-wife. Ken's like, no, don't do that one. But somebody else, maybe that's a female
Right.
and a male
Yeah.
and a daughter and a son
Yeah.
over the age of
Yeah, 15.
15, 16, to give some feedback so that you can have somewhat of a mirror back into how you're doing. Okay, well, Ken, these have been awesome things. I know we've given dads a lot of information, but I love that we're just opening up conversations so that dads can understand really the world of fathering from a fathering expert like you. So go step. What would you tell dads? We talked about it at the beginning. Anything else you would add besides asking another dad to take the PFP? Go to fathers.com. You can take it. They could read The Heart of a Father together, a book that you wrote that really breaks this out in even more detail. Anything else that you would say, Dad, here's a go step.
Here it is. There's another father that's watching you. He knows that he has gifted you with the unique children. And those gifts, he can help you if you appeal to him. And this is going deep in your own personal spiritual pilgrimage. I have found one of the best healing agents is recognizing and relating to that Father, that Heavenly Father. Because someday you're going to see face to face, and you want to hear him say, I gave you a lot of opportunity to do a lot of things, but you faithfully fathered these children that I've given you. Good job, son. Good job. Mm-hmm. And so dads, that I believe is a go step. Pursue the depth of that spiritual core that's in you and that is so evident. We need that today.
And I want to add one more thing. And Ken, this may embarrass you because I'm not trying to make your private life public. But Dad, what you do behind closed doors, like that relationship with God as your Father, and even the way you pray for your kids, they're going to see it. And Ken's been a man who, throughout his fathering, even before I knew him, is a man who gets down on his knees and he prays for his kids, and he hears God tell him things about how to be a better dad through prayer. And his oldest daughter has told me before, I remember so many times growing up, I would wake up in the morning and I'd see my dad on his knees for me. So thank you, Ken, for being a dad who walks his talk. Man, that's bringing me to tears, but I'm so grateful that you're not just telling dads what to do, but you're modeling it and you walk this out. And your daughters, dads, are going to come back like Ken's have later to say, I saw you.
Yeah.
I watched you.
Yeah.
And I want to live my life with integrity like you do. So, Ken, thank you so much for coming today and sharing more on this part 2 of a 2-part series to really empower dads and strengthen them. So you can take the PFP with another dad, a battle buddy, go to fathers.com.
And should we even tell them what's coming in the future?
Tell them.
Okay. We are getting the measures together, blending together Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield's research from the ABBA Project to integrate with the Father-Daughter Summit. Yeah. This is going to be a day event where you take your, what I'd say, adolescent, young adult daughter away for the day, and we'll be profiling together. I've had daughters tell me over the years, this was the single best day I ever spent with my dad. Yeah.
So if you
want that's coming.
Yeah, if you want to know more and stay updated, go to fathers.com. You can also go to my website, drmichellewatson.com, because we're all about supporting and championing you as fathers.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, the Dad Whisperer, signing off and encouraging you, Dad, to make today a day where you intentionally and consistently invest in pursuing your daughter's hearts. Go, Dads.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. If you're looking for more resources to support the father-daughter relationship, or if you want to connect personally with Dr. Michelle, you can find all the information you need at drmichellewatson.com. That's drmichellewatson.com. And remember, you can listen to the Dad Whisperer podcast anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. And while you're there, we'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again on the next edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.